Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to another 0AD gameplay commentary, and today we will be looking at a game between, let's just call him Number and Tiber. Well, I forgot the factions. Number playing the Yellow Morians and Tiber playing the Purple Iberians. Okay, now let's just say I recorded this before only to find out that my audio recording is broken, and hopefully this one will not actually mess up my recording. And so that means I was practically recording 20 minutes of the game. That means it was almost over, only to find out that I was only talking to myself at that time. And so if I'm going to give a little bit of spoiler right now, so if you don't want that, just skip to a certain time. Maybe I'll just indicate it right here in this bar what time you will want to skip to, so that you won't know much of the ending. Okay, so basically it was just mainly yellow raiding purple, doing that typical rush style of gameplay, and since it was only 20 minutes, yellow had the advantage from start up to that point, and anything further than that, I don't know. So that's a spoiler ended. Now, since that's out of the way, let's just focus on a little bit of discussion of playing your faction's advantages, because I like to use the term imbalances, because a faction has certain advantages over other factions, but also it will sacrifice something out of that advantage. What do I mean? Well, the reason I'm also recording this, aside from it's under 30 minutes something and under 200 population, is that we've seen a lot of Greek factions, and I think Celtic mostly, and we're not seeing much of the a diversity of other factions, and I want to find more games regarding that. And also there's also a YouTuber who has been slightly on a hiatus before. He was a veteran, I'll just call him a veteran, from Alpha 17, and he stopped, and now he's back with even more videos now. Go check his channel out. I'm just going to pronounce his name as Alekusu, although he keeps saying it in his videos who he is. I just can't pronounce his name right. Okay, I'll just link it to his channel. He's the veteran, and you can see his gameplay from his own mind, from a real pro, not like me who's just rambling about doing random things. And so yeah, back to the imbalances of each faction. The imbalance we can see here from the Morians is that this one, right? The worker elephant. What is the advantage of having worker elephants? Well, you can see right here, faster build time. So aside from a mobile drop site, a drop site of resources that you can actually use with that you can save wood from building storehouse here and storehouse there. You just have to walk your worker elephant from this site to that site to the resources of your choosing, and that's it. And also, yeah, they really build fast. That's how much of an advantage they are. So not only are you saving more wood for more houses or more other buildings you would want, instead of just storehouses everywhere, you have the worker elephant. The disadvantage of that is that they have no real military power. Yeah, maybe they can fight right here, but it's not that strong. They function as, actually I think women fight better than these guys. And so yeah, you're sacrificing your military power and population, because I don't how much I think before it was 3 or 2 population. And yeah, at the cost of population and military power, you will be having the advantage of a mobile drop site and faster build time. Yeah. Now let's move on to, well, that's the early game at least, to the Iberian faction. Early game advantage, the walls. So that means you are protected within these walls. As long as you stay within these walls, you are protected from most raids, and that's your main advantage. And not to mention that you can garrison your soldiers on these walls, these turrets. Yeah, you call them turrets. But the disadvantage of that is that you are limited within your walls. So if you're just like this is a type of a mistake from Tiber, moving your house. This is not a very ideal place to build your houses, and your women are getting slaughtered by our raiders, and houses getting captured because they are not inside your walls. Also, keep these walls locked if you're not using them, because they might be used by your opponent's advantage. Or if you want to keep these guys open, you can actually lure your enemy raiding party into these walls and then shut these gates tight, and that means the raiders are just stuck there, going to get rained down by the civic center. But mostly the disadvantage of this is that you are limited within the walls, and if ever you want to plan to advance, like gather more trees, that's where your disadvantage falls. And we can see that the disadvantage already playing out of the mistake of building houses outside your walls. I don't even know the purpose of this, why he built it outside of his advantage. So that's a discussion. Play to your faction's advantage and make sure that the disadvantage cannot be used by your enemy. Because what do I mean? Well, as we can see, a fight, a little bit of a fight for this spot right here. Yellow is playing Number is playing against the disadvantage of Tiber. He's scouting around, looking for some weak spots that are outside of his walls, trying to contain him inside his own base. So that means it's the walls that are meant to protect him is now serving as a little bit of a cage. He's being caged in, because especially now that he needs more wood, right? Especially that he's not even taking up to town phase yet. So you actually need to find a way. Tiber needs to find a way to gather wood, shore up, and then by the time the raiders get to this spot, they are safe enough to get it. An ideal way to do this is actually make this wood line close to the gate, or just build a gate on your own. I mean, that's the most ideal strategy I can guess that Tiber can do. But for now, we will just be observing Yellow guarding the perimeter of his opponent's base, keeping him hemmed in by his own advantage, quote unquote, while Number, well, we can actually fault him for not playing his own faction's advantage. What he's only doing is raiding and then building, raiding and then building, and nothing more. Although we can see here that he's being chased off by some swordsmen, because I said before that Rome only start with swordsmen, and I made a mistake about that, because also the Iberians start with swordsmen. They don't have spearmen in the civic center. You need them in the barracks. You see here, swordsmen, no spearmen. You have javelin throwers, some javelin throwing horsemen, some women, and that's just about it. The Moraine faction, they have their bamboo spearmen and their long bowmen, kind of a little bit disadvantage if you are going to look at it that way, because long bowmen, they seem to be weaker than your javelin throwers, although they got the range advantage. The javelin throwers are generally faster. They have faster walk speed. So that's about it. And while he's destroying his opponent's base. Number is doing that. You can see that Tiber is trying to regain his food income. How much food does he have anyway? 753, about 1,000. So that's almost, let's just say, unideal. Well, if you're taking up to town phase, that's actually decent. But the wood, he's struggling for wood. Oh yeah, I think I mentioned this in earlier, that this follow thing, it has something to do with my square-like screen after all, because in a widescreen monitor, this is actually a lot farther in the middle, while this choose player to view is actually farther out. That means you can actually click this whenever you want if you have a wider screen, but since I don't, that's my UI problem. And ooh, what's this? A little bit of a counter-attack, although this counter-attack may have some kind of credibility to it, especially now that you know, the Marians don't have walls and don't have towers. That means if ever he's going to get raided, provided that Tiber sees the weak spot, and I don't think he is, because he's getting chased out. Yes, now this is a real tight battle here, because he's going to yeah, especially in that number really needs the food income as well. Now, how come, you might wonder, how come he's struggling for food? Well, it's because of the raiders. He's been spending his food on the cavalrymen just so he can watch Tiber from gathering even more wood. So even though he's not struggling for wood, he has a lot of wood income coming, wood coming in. His food is not keeping up with his expenditure. He needs to spend more food than he is gathering. That's what I meant, okay? While on Tiber's side, at least now he's getting the wood that he needs. Still not enough to take up to town phase. That is, if he needs to take up to town phase. What I think he needs now is to get his barracks up, get some military up, because especially here, another one of our relentless raiding player styles being played out here, because he doesn't seem to be interested enough on taking up to town phase. Right? He's getting there though. He's obviously getting there, but with his persistent training of military units, especially in phase 1, he seems to be delaying his town phase tech up, phasing up even more, while Tiber is trying to phase up as quickly as he can, although I think he cannot actually manage it. Well, he seems to be managing it because he has a lot of men right here now. Yeah, with the ability to defend for himself this time, and the women are now protected, and the houses are now inside the walls. Very good play, and this one got left alone. Yeah, mostly because there was Number was looking for more spots to. That's a bad news. Trying to get your horsemen to just watch over that, and they see a wolf and some walls trying to harass. Nothing. They won't do anything until well after city phase. If they're planning to attack those walls, these things, he's going to take up to city phase even faster, just before he can even half the hit point. Yeah, that's how strong these walls are. And by the way, walls cannot be captured, So that means if you plan to attack an Iberian player, you are practically forced to take up to city phase where most of your siege units can actually come from. Even if you are the Marine factions, also their advantage is they can build the elephant stables where but their siege elephants can only be trained in city phase. Yeah, you can build your elephant stables on town phase, where you can have your worker elephant and your archer elephant, which are your fastest quote-unquote cavalry unit in the game. Your real firepower actually comes from, oh, now he's tech up to town phase. Where, what was I, your power units, the siege elephants, can only be trained once you tech up to city phase. So that means if you really want to get into the heart of an Iberian player's base, either you have to get through these walls, like this, being carelessly opened by the soldiers who are also getting mismanaged because of the pathfinding issues. Aside from that, you need to get those siege units busting these walls up. I mean, that's the only way you can really defeat an Iberian player, an Iberian faction, if he has the walls at the start, because some maps do not support that. So that means these walls are not always there. It will depend on the map. I don't know why. And getting metal for some wood. Why are you? Oh, this is a fast attack up to city phase. He is trying to rush up to city phase with only 3 buildings to build, while Tiber, he has a little bit of moments rest against those raids, although we have a big chunk of army moving to build a civic center right up in the nose of Tiber. So Numbers doing a very good job, especially that he's going to use his faction's advantage again for better, faster build time. And what? This elephant seems to... broken Pathfinder just breaks your strategy all over. Nice attempt though. What? Oh. Did it just stop trying to find his way to the civic center? It's kind of a bad news. This civic center could have got up way sooner if it hadn't been for this guy just standing there doing nothing. Not only is it not helping with the building, it's not helping with the resource gathering, not helping anything. It's being useless. Except maybe for the hunters who are... Well, there's a near drop site anyway, so technically this still is not doing anything productive. And a little bit few gatherers here. Few stone and metal gatherers, just decent enough to sustain, maybe. No, not really. It's just slowing his taking up, especially now that he's attacking you. You can understand from micromanaging your economy back home and attacking your enemy. Not easy to do, believe me. I play this game, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a pro, but I know how difficult it is to micromanage. And whoa, tower going up, really disrespecting your opponent's base. You can actually capture this, now that he's left it alone. But, well, you can't know that, man. Well, I can't know that if I was playing, but this one pretty much chokes your enemy out of majority of the resources in the center of the map at least. And notice how the waters can play a part of limiting your buildings. They do not limit your unit movement per se, because they are shallow enough to be moved on, but the buildings cannot be built on soaky ground. Although I think technically the soaky ground can reach up to this point, I think. But gameplay wise, you need to place your buildings wisely. That's just the point of a shallow watery map. I'm not sure if you can actually build a dock here, you know. If you can try it, maybe. Although it's not ideal because there's no food, there's no ships, and soldiers can walk on it anyway. They can play a part as your tank units, but I doubt they can be useful long term. Especially that, for example, if you build a dock here, just look at that restricted movement of the boats, even if they can't cross. And woohoo, a little bit of a tower war, or no, just don't touch my base any further. This one's going to die anyway. By the way, the Iberian tower happened to be the strongest tower, so that's another advantage of the Iberians. They were stronger back then. What I mean by that is that you can garrison up to 10 soldiers. Now that they have decreased it up to 8 only, but still they are the strongest, and they cost more actually. Yeah, your typical tower cost 100 wood and 100 stone. The Iberian defense towers cost this one 50 wood but 200 stone, so that means 300 resource count compared to your typical tower. Yeah, the Moraine towers can fall into that category, which cost only 200 of each resource. Not to mention they can be built faster, 150 seconds game time, while the tower here is, the Iberian tower is 200 game seconds. That's what I will call it right now. And yeah, the barracks going up. Tiber building his barracks in front of his base, maybe to gather up more stone to his advantage. But oh, an elephant stable now going up, and he's now going to race up to the city phase now because he will be needing this Indian Warrior elephants. Makes sense? Yeah. At first glance, the Moraines seem to be the elephant faction, and which they should be, because they have siege elephants, archer elephants, and worker elephants. But when it comes to offensive types, yeah, they have also their elephant hero, but even the Seleucids and the Carthaginians have that. Both the war elephants, the siege elephants, melee type, and a hero elephant. So the only thing that makes the Moraines unique as an elephant faction is the worker elephant. So that's pretty much it, aside from the elephant stables, which, yeah, this is the only advantage I can see. You may be wondering, yeah, because you can build this while in town phase, and you will be only waiting for city phase, so you can have your siege units. Unlike the Seleucids and the Carthaginians, which you have to wait until city phase for you to build your fortress and then train your elephants, siege elephants. While on the Moraines, you can actually prepare for the city phase. You know, I mean, build this in town phase while waiting. Yeah, it's already tech up, and now he's ready to train the war elephants immediately without having to build for, see, tech up to city phase, build something, then train. This one you have not even teched up to city phase, you already have the building, and by the time you're in city phase now, you can start training. So that's the advantage of the elephant stables. Nice sound right there. So the Iberians, Tiber, now trying to turtle up. This is obviously a turtle type strategy because towers, walls everywhere, and soldiers with a temple passively positioned. This is more of a defensive type strategy, and the danger of being too defensive is that, yeah, I think I just said that, you will be too passive. You will let your enemy take over, control much of the resources, even outside of his base, and this one scouting for some weak spots if ever Tiber has built maybe if he can, an extended base here, some wood gatherers here, and I guess without me realizing, I was already at the winning point, and by the time Tiber saw this, I think he already knew that he will lose the game. And we just see here Number trying to finish everything off even before the the real clashes started. So this is basically the game. Stop with the noises, man. Or maybe if you guys just want to watch the carnage of the gun. Too late. Sorry about this, guys. So that's the game. Well, mostly a discussion of playing the advantages of your imbalances. That's just it. So that's the game. Hope you guys like it. See you guys in the next video.